The Knights of Columbus are doomed, and unfortunately I'm not sure that any of us can make a difference. I'm Andrew and this is Success with the Saints, where we help Catholics succeed in business, finance, and life. Please subscribe for a new video every other Tuesday. Today I want to talk to you about something that's been on my heart and mind for many years now, about the Knights of Columbus and how I think that the organization is doomed and frankly dying. And I'm not sure that there's anything we can do to stem the tide and stop the bleeding. Before people think that I'm just poo-pooing the Knights of Columbus, let me tell you a little bit about my history. Some of my earliest memories are getting to go on a Friday night with my dad to church to help start the fish fry. I remember lugging out the old propane fryers, getting everything all set up, and probably being in the way more than I was helping. But I had a great time helping out with those Knights of Columbus fish fries way back in the day at our parish in North Texas. I was fortunate to receive a Knights of Columbus scholarship while I was in college. Fast forward a bit, and I was Grand Knight for 3 whole years in a row at my council here in Spotsylvania County, Virginia. I got this nice little rocking chair back here to prove it. I love the vision that Blessed Father McGivney had for men trying to take care of orphans and widows of our fallen brothers. Frankly, many of the guys in my council I in fact do regard as my brothers. The problem is that the organization as a whole is fundamentally broken and flawed. The biggest problem with the Knights of Columbus is that good guys who join the Knights wanting to do good and volunteer in the community then get swallowed over by the bureaucracy, red tape, and meetings that are just the hallmark of the Knights of Columbus, and they stop being involved. I see this time and time again. Good guys who think, I want to make a difference and it's time to give back, they join. Then they come to a few Knights of Columbus meetings and they realize the meetings are draining the life force out of the Knights of Columbus and they don't want to participate anymore. And when you compound the fact that the meetings drain the lifeblood from us, and you have to have 14 officers plus a chaplain to fill out your roster of officers, it's just downright ridiculous for even a medium-sized council to be able to have that many officers who are willing to serve year in and year out to make the council run. So you have all these officer positions, you have all these boring meetings, and frankly, nobody wants to go to them. And that's one of the biggest issues with the Knights of Columbus. But more important than that, if you think about the just overall bureaucracy that exists within the Knights of Columbus. If you've ever served as Grand Knight or a trustee, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I had no idea how much red tape and bureaucracy there was at levels above the council. Once you become Grand Knight, you understand that there's a district deputy who's out there to try to make everything run and enforce things and pass emails along to you. And there's the whole structure of the state meetings. Here in Virginia, there's 4 state meetings, plus all these other meetings. It's simply an insane system that no guy in their right mind wants to participate in. The few guys that do thrive and enjoy that bureaucracy and the system of meetings and whatnot, they're kind of the antithesis for the guys who just joined a group thinking, I'm going to do some good in the community. And those guys don't really get along very well. They clash. And the bureaucracy types who love the middle management and all the rules and forms and reports, they crush the soul of the guys who just wanted to join the Knights of Columbus to do something good. And in my opinion, until the Knights of Columbus just gets rid of all the TPS reports and all the bureaucracy and all the insanity that is this reporting chain of command and Supreme Knights and state deputies and district deputies, until we get rid of that, the Knights of Columbus is simply suffocating itself and it's literally dying off. Members are dying, the numbers aren't going up, and I don't see a bright future for the organization. And that brings me to a few ideas that I have to maybe try to reform the Knights and maybe try to invigorate it and see if maybe we could get a few more decades out of it. The first thing is you need to disband the assemblies. You need to just say there's no more assembly. When you become a knight, you're a knight. Period. Frankly, we just need to get rid of the degrees as well. We've already basically done that with the 1st through 3rd degree. You go through it all in one little ceremony. So we just need to get rid of the whole 4th degree thing, the 1st through 3rd, and when you join, you become a knight. Then, frankly, more guys would be eligible to be an honor guard, and some would be willing to do the uniform. If we disbanded the assemblies, it's a whole slate of officers that you don't need anymore. You don't need to burn guys out with officers and a whole set of meetings you don't need to have anymore. Guys don't want to be sitting in boring meetings. Am I right? That brings me to my next point. We need to reform the meeting system. They've just tried to do this with a new streamlined meeting. They surveyed 55,000 members and took all this feedback on how our meetings are working. And I do applaud the order for trying to improve things. But the system is still broken. Especially in my area, most guys commute up to DC for work. So most guys are getting up at 4:30 in the morning, something like that. They're hitting the road or getting on the train. They're going up to work in Northern Virginia or DC. They're not getting home until 6:30 or 7 on a good day. And then you're going to have a council meeting in the evening. Some guys are willing to make that sacrifice to come help out their council. But if you've had a mind-numbing job all day, worked hard all day, maybe haven't even seen your family since the day before, and then are you going to want to go and sit through an hour-long boring meeting where you have to sit there, salute the Grand Knight, stand when you're recognized, go through parliamentary procedure, vote on things, have a gavel wrapped? You don't want that BS. I understand there needs to be some formality to a meeting. Organization has to be able to vote on expenditures and things like that. But we could do a lot better job of making the meetings engaging, making them shorter, and frankly, getting rid of all the pageantry and the BS and having the district deputy give his address and his greetings from the Supreme Knight and all this stuff that we go through at every meeting. It's simply ridiculous, and it sucks the life force out of us, especially when you've been going through the normal drudgery of life all day. While we're talking about meetings, that's the next thing that we got to do. We got to get rid of this crazy system of state meetings. Frankly, I was Grand Knight for 3 years. In my first year, I went to most of the state meetings each quarter. I realized how absurd it was to be giving up my Saturdays 4 times a year to be packed in a gym like this in folding chairs next to 300 other men and just be talked at all day. It was absurd. And frankly, those meetings, again, are not useful. They're just telling us, okay, you got to submit this report, and this TPS report is due now, and this report is due on the March 15th, and all this stuff that they went through every meeting. Let's get rid of all these reports and forms and all this mess. And all it is so you can try to win some award for some plaque that you're going to hang on the wall that nobody's going to ever see. And frankly, in our council, we didn't have a place to hang them on the wall, so they go into a bin in a shed. What's the point? As Knights, if we want to try to reinvigorate our order and we want to try to make a difference in the world, as Knights, if we want to try to give our council a chance, we need to start with axing 90% of the meetings we have. And then we need to address the council officers. Right now, you have 14 officers on a slate for each council. That's 14 guys who you're asking to make a huge commitment to spend a lot of time helping their council. Meetings are not even close to the public anymore. So now we don't need to have an inside guard or an outside guard and a warden, all just to make sure that the meeting is safe and secure. We need to get rid of silly positions like that. We need to have just your basic 4 positions that every organization has. We could have a Grand Knight, a Deputy Grand Knight, aka a President and a Vice President, and then you have a Secretary and a Treasurer. 4 guys could run most councils. Some councils may be big and have lots of projects, and that's great. They can have they can have chair people for different projects or maybe different ad hoc committees as they need. But for small councils that are simply just trying to stay afloat and trying to get things done, they shouldn't be required to have 14 officers every year. What happens is you have the same guys doing the same job year after year after year, and frankly, they're tired and they're fed up. And then what happens is they burn out and you never see them again. Some of you may be saying that we need to have some kind of state meeting or area meeting so you can see your friends and Knights around you. And I think that's a great idea. But it needs to be more of, frankly, an uplifting and social event. Right now, it's just a booze fest with all sorts of meetings. Frankly, it costs crazy amounts of money to have the Virginia State Meeting, and I'm sure other states are similar. It should be simply a weekend convention at a hotel, and everybody pays for their own hotel room instead of the councils paying for hotel rooms and mileage and all this stuff. Everybody pays their own way. It's a simple system. It works. And if you want to go, you go and you socialize. And I support that. Go golfing, go do whatever. If you really want to have an effective meeting as well, what you could do is make it more like the Arlington Diocese Men's Conference. I'll give a plug out to our diocese here. We have an amazing men's conference every year, and they bring in a great men's speaker. One year it was Father Larry Richards. A couple of years ago was Father Mike Schmitz. Some awesome speakers to come and address the men. And frankly, it is one of the highlights of my year every single year. It's an awesome experience to come and bond with brothers, to have some awesome presentations from a great keynote speaker, some nationally recognized or world-renowned speakers even, and then also to have Mass with 700 of your brothers. It's a a great experience. And the Knights of Columbus are missing out by not trying to do something like that. I know other dioceses have done similar men's conferences. It's a crying shame that the Knights of Columbus don't take that model and try to use it for the state meetings and the Supreme meetings. As an order, we're too focused on having all our officers sitting on the dais and having everybody address us and give greetings to everybody in the room. We need to get rid of all that silly formality and nonsense and have a really uplifting, informative day with some great liturgical elements like Mass and adoration and confession, and have a great speaker to help teach us something informative. And maybe you could have a one hour state meeting somewhere in the middle. But that should not be the focus of the day. It should be focused on our spiritual nourishment and some fellowship amongst our brothers. The Knights of Columbus are dying out, and I'm not sure we're going to see them in the next 50 years unless some drastic changes are made. I hope the Knights of Columbus can be the order that Blessed Father McGivney envisioned. Right now, it's not there in my opinion, and I'm not sure that it's going to ever recover. For more about living life as a Catholic man, check out my next video on praying to St. Joseph. I'll see you over there. St. Joseph, pray for us.